Hello, good afternoon everyone. Myself, Dr. Ajit Kumar Surana, Assistant Professor, Department of Physiotherapy, Suresh Gyanvihar University. Today we are discussing about a topic shock. What is shock? What are the clinical features of shock, treatment, and shock definition? So, start from first of all the learning objectives of the shock. Learn how shock occurs. Students learn how shock occurs, know different types of shock, identify the signs and symptoms of shock, demonstrate first aid treatment for shock, and learn shock positions for special injuries. These are the learning objectives for the shock. How shock occurs, know different types of shock, identify signs and symptoms of shock, demonstrate first aid treatment for shock, and learn shock positions for special injuries. Now, the contents of the shock. First of all, the introduction of the shock, the definition of the shock, the classification of the shock, pathophysiology of shock, stages of shock, general features and effects of shock, types of shock, dental concentration in shock, management of shock in dental office, conclusion and references. Now we will start from first of all introduction of the shock. Shock is a physiologic event with many different causes. Shock mainly it is a physiological event with many different causes, but if untreated, it has single clinical outcome. But if untreated, it has single clinical outcome. Mortality rate in shock is 20%. Now, the definition of shock. According to Bailey and Love, shock is a life-threatening situation due to poor tissue perfusion with impaired cellular metabolism. It is a life-threatening situation due to poor tissue perfusion with impaired cellular metabolism manifested in turn by serious pathophysiological abnormalities. Now, according to the Davidsons, shock is a term used to describe the clinical syndromes that develop when there is critical impairment of tissue perfusion due to some form of acute circulatory failure. Now, according to the Stewart's, shock may be defined as inadequate delivery of oxygen. According to it, it is an inadequate deficiency of delivery of oxygen and nutrients to maintain normal tissue and cellular functions. Now, according to Kumar and Palio in 1995, this state in which profound and the widespread reduction of the effective tissue perfusion leads first to reversible and then, if prolonged, to irreversible cellular injury. So these are the definitions according to different scientists. Now, the next is a life-threatening clinical syndrome of cardiovascular collapse characterized by an acute reduction of effective circulatory blood volume called as hypotension, acute reduction of effective circulatory volume called as hypotension, in an inadequate perfusion of cells and tissues is hypoperfusion called as hypoperfusion. If uncompensated, these mechanisms may lead to impaired cellular metabolism and death. If uncompensated, these mechanisms may lead to the impaired cellular metabolism and death may occur. The clinical manifestations of shock are the result of stimulation of sympathetic and neuroendocrine stress responses, inadequate oxygen delivery, and organ dysfunction. These are the clinical manifestations of shock are the result of stimulation of the sympathetic and neuroendocrine stress response, inadequate oxygen delivery, and organ dysfunctions. Now, classification of the shock. How we classify the shock? Shock may be classified into first one is the primary or initial shock, second one is the secondary or true shock, then is anaphylactic type 1 immunologic reaction, and another is true shock like circulatory imbalance between oxygen circulatory imbalance. In true shock, there is circulatory imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen requirement at cellular level, hence named circulatory shock, also named as circulatory shock. Now the next one is the initial shock. Initial shock means transient and usually waning vasovagal attack due to sudden reduction of venous return. There is transient and usually begin vasovagal attack due to sudden reduction of the venous return caused by the neurogenic vasodilatation and consequent peripheral pooling of blood. Peripheral pooling of blood means immediately following trauma, severe pain, emotional overreaction, etc. Now, in routine clinical practice, true shock is the form which occurs due to in routine clinical practice. True shock is the form which occurs due to hemodynamic dearrangement with hypoperfusion, commonly referred to as shock. Now, etiology means reason of shock. First one is the hypovolemic shock, second one is the cardiogenic shock, and third one is the septic shock. There are three types of shock. First one is the hypovolemic shock, second one is the cardiogenic shock, and third one is the septic shock. Other types of the shock are they are traumatic, neurogenic, and hypoadrenal shocks. Now, due to low flow or reduced stroke volume, due to low flow of the blood or reduced stroke volume, they are hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic, and obstructive shocks. Now, due to peripheral arteriolar resistance or due to the low peripheral arterial resistance or due to vasodilatation, they are septic, anaphylactic, and the neurogenic shock. Due to low flow or reduced stroke volume, they are the hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic shock, and obstructive shock. And due to the low peripheral arterial resistance or vasodilatation, they are the septic, anaphylactic, and the neurogenic shock. Now, vasovagal, psychogenic, neurogenic, hypovolemic, traumatic, burn, cardiogenic, septic, or endocrine, they are hyperdynamic or warm, hypovolemic, hypodynamic, or cold, or anaphylactic. These are the classification of the shock according to etiology. Now, by the Hinshaw and the Cox, Hinshaw and Cox proposed in 1970 hypovolemic. They proposed shock in different types of shock like hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic shock, extracardiac obstructive shock, and distributive shock like septic shock, anaphylactic shock, and the neurogenic shock. Now, shock due to reduced blood volume are called as hypovolemic shock or cold shock. Shock due to reduced blood volume, they are hypovolemic shock or cold shock. Traumatic shock, hemorrhagic shock, surgical shock, burn shock, and the dehydration. There are different types of shock occurs like traumatic shock, hemorrhagic shock, surgical shock, burn shock, and the dehydration shock. Now, shock due to any increased vascular capacity. Shock occurs due to increased vascular capacity or blood volume normal occurs because of the inadequate blood supply to the tissue due to the increased vascular capacity. Now, they are neurogenic shock, anaphylactic shock, septic shock, shock due to disease of the heart like cardiogenic shock, and shock due to obstruction of blood flow. Now, pathophysiology of the shock. Pathophysiology of the shock. There are three types of shock. First one is the hypovolemic shock. Hypovolemic shock comes due to conditions like hemorrhagic condition, due to any hemorrhagic condition, due to any trauma, due to any surgery, burns, or dehydration. Due to which hypovolemic shock they cause decrease effective circulatory blood volume. Due to hypovolemic shock, there is decreased effective circulatory volume. And second one is the septic shock. Septic shock, it mainly occurs due to the gram negative septicemia or gram positive septicemia. They may also decrease effective circulatory blood volume, same as hypovolemic shock. Now, third one is the cardiogenic shock. Cardiogenic shock means they mainly occurs due to deficiency of emptying, filling, outflow, obstruction. They mainly occurs due to any deficiency of emptying, filling, or outflow, obstruction. They cause decreased cardiac output. Now, hypovolemic shock and septic shock, they decrease effective circulatory blood volume, due to which the venous return to the heart may also decrease. When venous return to the heart may decrease, they cause decreased cardiac output or decreased cardiac output, due to which there is when decreased cardiac output occurs, it may cause decreased blood flow. Due to decreased blood flow, the decreased supply of the oxygen to the atria and other parts of the body, and due to decreased supply of the oxygen, anoxia may come, and due to anoxia, the shock is present. This is the pathophysiology of the shock. Now the stages of the shock. Deterioration of the circulation in shock is a progressive and continuous phenomenon. The deterioration of circulation in shock. Deterioration of circulation in shock. It is a progressive and continuous phenomena, and compensatory mechanism become progressive less effective, and the compensatory mechanism become progressively less effective. The stages of the shock are the first one is the non-progressive. These are the initial compensated reversible shock. They are non-progressive shock or initial compensated and reversible shock. Second one is the progressive decompensated shock. Progressive decompensated shock. Now third one is the decompensated or irreversible shock. These are the stages of the shock. First one is the non-progressive or initial compensated reversible shock. Second one is the progressive decompensated shock, and third one is the decompensated irreversible shock. Now non-progressive initial compensated reversible shock. Due to the blood loss or fluid redistribution, they may cause stimulation of the vasomotor center of the medulla vasomotor of the central, due to which sympathetic response, hormonal response, and the adrenal response may occur. Sympathetic response, after that they may divide it into they cause increased cardiac output, increased heart rate, and increased contractility, and they may increase peripheral vascular resistance by the constriction of the pre-capillary and the post-capillary sphincters. And second one is the hormonal response. Hormonal response, they respond on pituitary gland, on adrenal gland, due to which ADS secretion over pituitary gland, ADS secretion, or due to adrenal gland, there is uh, aldosterone secretion, due to which water and the sodium retention by the kidney to help replenish plasma volume, due to which water and sodium retention by the kidney to help replenish plasma volume. Over adrenal response, they due to our adrenal response, release of the epinephrine occurs. Due to release of the epinephrine, further increase in vasoconstriction occurs, due to which increase arterial blood pressure to perfuse heart and brain, and due to which there is blood is shunted from muscles, skin, kidney, liver, and decrease capillary hydrostatic pressure. When decreased capillary hydrostatic pressure occurs, it may cause fluid moves from intestinal space to the capillary to restore plasma volume. Now, shock. Systolic and diastolic pressure fall. This is second one is progressive compensate. Shock when continuous, it causes systolic and diastolic pressure falls, due to which there is decreased PO2 or decreased cerebral blood flow, and cellular hypoxia may occur and decreased pulse rate. Due to cellular hypoxia, there is increased PCO2, and metabolic acidosis may occur, tissue ischemia, and the anaerobic metabolic occurs. Due to metabolic acidosis, there is increased respiration to expel CO2, and due to tissue ischemia, they decrease cardiac and cerebral perfusion, and anaerobic mechanism, they release lactic acid. Now, due to decompensate or irreversible shock, they cause metabolites accumulates, due to which precapillary sphincters dilates. Due to metabolic accumulates, precapillary capillary sphincters may dilate. Postcapillary sphincters remain constricted, but the postcapillary sphincters remains constricted, due to which increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure. Due to there is increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure. When capillary hydrostatic pressure increase, results in fluid loss from the vascular space into the interstitial spaces, due to which there is a loss of fluid from the vascular space into the interstitial space, and they may cause when vascular space loss of vascular space into interstitial space, they may cause decrease in the vascular volume. Due to a decrease in the vascular volume, there is decrease in the venous return to the right side of the heart. When venous return to the right side of your heart, further decrease in the cardiac output due to cellular necrosis may occur. Cellular necrosis may cause death of the patient. Now, initial shock. Pathogenesis of the initial shock, like baroreceptors, catecholamine release, renin angiotensions in activation, ADH release, and sympathetic stimulation. Effect of the initial shocks are the peripheral vasoconstriction, uh, contraction, cool, clumpy skin, tachycardia, and fluid conservation by kidney. Now, second one, the progressive shock. Progressive shock may cause pathogenesis of the progressive is they are anaerobic glycolysis, lactic acidosis, and lower pH, due to which they affect on decreased cardiac output, DIC, mental confusion, and decreased urinary output. Now, third one is the irreversible shock. Irreversible pathogenesis, irreversible shock is persistent vasoconstriction, vasodilation, increased vascular permeability, myocardial infarction, ischemia, cerebral ischemia, VDM, TNF, intestinal factors, bacterial factors, and hypocoagulability. Effects of irreversible shocks are brain dead, lungs ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, heart, focal myocardial necrosis, kidney, ATN, liver necrosis, necrosis of liver, spleen, hyperplasia of the spleen, stomach, ulcer may occur in stomach, necrosis of the spine, and the vasodilatation of the splenic. These are the effects of irreversible shock. Now, the general clinical features of the shock. First one is the hypotension, systolic BP less than 100 mm Hg. Tachycardia may occur, there is increase in heart rate more than 100 per minute. Cold, clammy skin, there is cold and clammy skin. Rapid shallow respiration, there is rapid shallow respiration. Drowsiness may occur, confusion and irritability, oliguria, urine output less than 30 ml or per hour. Elevated or reduced central venous pressure. There is elevated or reduced central venous pressure or multi-organ failure. These are the general clinical features of this shock, like hypotension, tachycardia, skin, cold clammy skin, drowsiness, confusion, irritability, oliguria, elevated or reduced central venous pressure or multi-organ failure. Now, general feature principles in the management of the shock, like patients should be treated in ICU preferably. Patients should be treated in ICU preferably continuous electrocardiographic monitoring, then continuous electrocardiographic monitoring, pulse oximeter, a reduction of elevated serum lactate level. Reduction of elevated serum lactate level is one good indicator of successful resuscitation and is often used as a therapeutic goal. There is reduction of elevated serum lactate is one of the good indicator of successful resuscitation and is often used as therapeutic goal. Now, the initial assessment or ABC. ABC means first one is the airway. Does patient have mental state to protect airways? Does patient have mental state to protect airways? GCS less than 8 means intubate. If the GCS glaucoma scale is less than 8 means it is intubated E4, V5 and M6. Now, airway is comprised in anaphylaxis. Now, second one is the breathing. If patient is conversing, A and B are fine, place patient on oxygen. If patient is conversing, A and B are fine, place the patient on oxygen support. Now, circulation, they are vitals, heart rate and BP, IV, start fluid, put on continuous monitor. IB start fluids or put on continuous monitoring. These are the initial assessment of the shock patient, airways, breathing, and the circulation. Now, in a trauma, perform ABCDE, not just ABC. In trauma condition, perform ABCDE, not just AB. D means deficit or disability. Assess for obvious neurological deficit. D means deficit or disability. Assess the patient for obvious neurologic deficit, movement of all four extremities, pupils, glaucoma scale, V5, M6, and E4. Exposure. E means exposure, loosening of clothing on trauma patient. Exposure, there is a loosening of the tight clothing on trauma patient. The in trauma condition performing ABCD. A means airway, B means breathing, C means circulatory, D means deficit or disability, and E means exposure. Now, the effects of shock. Effects of shock on cardiovascular system. They may decrease of preload and afterload baroreceptor response. They may decrease of preload and afterload baroreceptor response, release of catecholamines, tachycardia, and vasoconstriction may occur. The decrease of preload and afterload baroreceptor response or release of catecholamines, due to which there is tachycardia and vasoconstriction may occur. Over effects of shock over respiratory system. First one is metabolic acidosis occurs, increased respiratory rate and excretion of carbon dioxide. There is increased respiratory rate and excretion of carbon dioxide, result in compensatory respiratory alkylosis. When there is increased respiratory excretion of carbon dioxide due to result in compensatory respiratory alkalosis. Now, renal and effects of shock on renal and endocrine system. There is decreased urine output due to shock, stimulation of renin, angiotensins, and aldosterone exists, release of vasopressin from hypothalamus, due to which there is stimulation of renin, angiotensin, and aldosterone exists, release of vasopressin from hypothalamus, resulting vasoconstriction, increased sodium and water reabsorption, due to which the resulting vasoconstriction and increased sodium and water reabsorption. Now over microvascular system, they cause activation of immune and coagulation system. They cause activation of immune and coagulation system, hypoxia and acidosis, activate complement and primary neutrophils, oxygen free radicals and cytokine release, damage and endothelium fluid leak out and edema ensues. Over cellular system, cells switch from aerobic to the anaerobic metabolism. Cells switches from aerobic to the anaerobic metabolism, due to which there is decrease when cells switch from aerobic to anaerobic metabolism. There is a decrease of ATP production. When ATP production decrease, it may cause acidosis. Lactic acidosis cause glucose exhaust and aerobic respiration cause. Lactic acidosis cause glucose exhaust and aerobic respiration cease, due to which sodium and potassium pump impaired. Sodium and potassium pump impaired. When sodium and potassium pump impaired, lysosome release autodigestive enzymes. Then lysosome they release autodigestive enzyme and mitochondria. Due to release of autodigestive enzyme, mitochondria damage and the death of the cell may occur. Now the metabolic changes in the shock. Metabolic changes in the shock. First one is carbohydrate metabolism. Compensated shock, hyperglycemia due to increased hepatic glycogenolysis. Compensated shock, there is hyperglycemia occurs due to increased hepatic glycogenolysis. There is decompensated shock, hypoglycemia due to hepatic glycogen depletion. There is hypoglycemia due to hepatic glucogen depletion and increased consumption of glucose by the tissues. Increased consumption of glucose by the tissues. And third one is the anaerobic glycolysis. There is anaerobic glycolysis occurs as assessed by high blood levels of lactase and pyruvate. Anaerobic glycolysis occurs as a result by high blood level of lactate and pyruvates. Now, metabolic changes over protein metabolism. Over protein, they may increase intracellular protein catabolism. They increase intracellular protein catabolism, conversion of amino acid to the urea, increase blood non-nitrogen protein. They increase non-blood nitrogen proteins. Now over fat metabolism, they increase fat metabolism, increase endogenous fat metabolism, rise of fatty acid level in the blood, the rise of fatty acid level in blood, and water electrolyte disturbance. Over water electrolyte disturbance, failure of sodium pump. There is a failure of sodium pump due to which potassium leaves the cell, hyponatremia. When failure of sodium pump, there is potassium leaves the cells, cause cellular swelling. They cause cellular swelling. Shock due to loss of plasma only. Shock occurs due to loss of plasma. In burn condition, they may cause hemoconcentration. Now over metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis. Hypoxia of the kidney may occur in metabolic acidosis. Renal function is impaired. Renal function is impaired. Blood level of acid like renal function is impaired. Blood levels of acid like lactase, pyruvate, phosphate, and sulfate rise. causing metabolic acidosis. Phosphate and sulfate rise causing metabolic acidosis. Morphologic complications like morphologic changes in shocks are due to hypoxia. Morphologic changes in shock, they are due to hypoxia, resulting in degeneration and necrosis in various organs. Degeneration and necrosis in various organs. Organ affects are organs affects in morphology complications. They are brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, adrenal, and the GITs. Now, hypoxic encephalopathy. Compensated shock result in cerebral ischemia. Hypoxic encephalopathy when compensated shock result in cerebral ischemia, which produce altered state of consciousness. When compensation result in cerebral ischemia, they produce altered state of consciousness. However, if blood pressure falls below 50 mmHg, as in systemic hypotension in prolonged shock and cardiac arrest, brain suffers from serious ischemic damage with loss of cortical functions, coma and vegetative state. When blood falls below the level of 50 mmHg, there is systemic hypotension occurs in a prolonged shock and they may cause cardiac arrest, due to which the brain suffers from serious ischemic damage with loss of cortical function, coma, and the vegetative state. Heart in shock. Two types of morphologic changes occurs in heart due to shock. First one is hemorrhagic and necrosis. Due to hemorrhagic and necrosis, located in subepicardial and the subendocardial region. They are located in subepicardial and subendocardial region. Second one is the zonal lesion. Opaque transverse contraction, bands in myocyst near an intercalated disc. Now, shock over lungs. Lungs have dual blood supplies, and generally not affected by hypovolemic shock. Lungs have a dual blood supply, or they generally not affected by the hypovolemic shock. But in septic shock lungs seen as symptoms of ARDS. But in septic condition, shock lungs seen as symptoms of ARDS. Symptoms of ARDS means acute respiratory distress syndrome, including congestions, interstitial and the alveolar edema, interstitial lipocystic infiltrate, alveolar hyaline membranes, thickening and fibrosis of alveolar septa. There is thickening and the fibrosis of the alveolar septa, fibrin and platelet thrombi in pulmonary microvasculatus. Now, shock over kidney. They cause irreversible renal injury, due to which important complication of shock. Irreversible renal injury. The important complication of shock. Renal ischemia following systemic hypotension is considerably responsible for renal changes in shock. Renal ischemia following systemic hypotension is considerably responsible for renal changes in the shock. End results is generally anuria and the death. End result of shock kidney is generally anuria and the death. Now, adrenal in shock. Adrenal show stress response in shock. Adrenal shows stress response in shock. It includes release of aldosterone in response to the hypoxic kidney. They includes release of aldosterone in response to the hypovolemic kidney, hypoxic kidney. Second, release of glucocorticoids from adrenal cortex and catecholamines like adrenaline from adrenal medulla. Severe shock result in adrenal hemorrhages. Now over GIT, hypoperfusion of alimentary tract. There is a hypoperfusion of alimentary tracts and mucosal and the mural infarction called a hemorrhagic gastro and enteropathy. In shock due to burns, acute distress due to with the ulcer of stomach and duodenum or curling ulcers. Now over liver, they cause hypoxia. VDM is released. When VDM it's called vasodilatations. Other include focal necrosis, fatty changes, impaired liver functions. Now, ischemic reperfusion syndrome. It is the injury that occurs when the normal circulation is restored to the tissues. Injury that occurs once the normal circulation restored to the tissue. Reason of ischemic reperfusion syndrome is acid and potassium load buildup leads to the myocardial depression, vascular dilatation, and the hypotension. Neutrophils are flused back into the circulation, cause further injury to the endothelial cells of lungs and kidney. They result acute lung and renal injury, multiple organ failure, death. Now, first one is the hypovolemic shock. Occurs from inadequate circulatory blood volume. Hypovolemic shock occurs mainly from inadequate circulatory blood volume. Major effects are due to decreased cardiac output and low intracardiac pressure, or severity of clinical features depends on degree of blood volume lost. So, first one is the hypovolemic shock. It is mainly occurs due to from inadequate circulatory blood volume, or major effects of hypovolemic shock are due to decreased cardiac output and low intracardiac pressure. The severity of clinical feature of hypovolemic shock depends on the degree of blood volume lost. Now, pathophysiology of the hypovolemic shock: hemorrhage from small venules and veins in 50% cases. When hemorrhage of small venules and the veins, they may cause decreased filling of heart, due to which there is decreased filling of right heart when heart is not fully filled. There is a decreased filling of pulmonary vasculature, due to which there is decreased filling of the left atrium and the ventricle, due to which left ventricle stroke volume decreases. Or Frank Sterling, due to drop in arterial blood pressure and tachycardia may occur. Due to which there is drop in arterial blood pressure and tachycardia, due to which the pure perfusion of pulmonary arteries and cardiac depression and the pump failure. Now the classification of the hypovolemic shock. They are hemorrhagic and non-hemorrhagic. Hemorrhagic mainly due to trauma or gastrointestinal bleeding. Second one is the non-hemorrhagic. They are external fluid loss due to any external fluid loss, diarrhea, vomiting, polyuria, fluid redistribution, burns, and the anaphylaxis. This is classification: hemorrhagic like trauma or any gastrointestinal bleeding. Non-hemorrhagic are uh, uh, non-hemorrhagic hypovolemic shock are mainly due to any external fluid loss, any diarrhea, vomiting, polyuria, fluid redistribution, burns, and the anaphylaxis. Now the classification of the acute blood loss. Classification of the acute blood loss. There is class 1, blood loss up to 15 degree, mild clinical symptoms or compensated. Class 2, blood loss in between 15 to 30% or 1000 to 1500 ml. There is mild tachycardia may occur, tachypnea, weak peripheral pulses, and the anxiety may occur. Now in class 3, blood loss more than 30 to 40% or 1500 to 200 ml. They cause hypotension, marked tachycardia, pulse rate increase 100 to 120, and confusion may occur. Now in class 4, blood loss more than 40 degree or more than 2000 ml. There is significant depression in the systolic BP, significantly depression in the systolic BP, very narrow pulse pressure. Very narrow pulse pressure may occur. These are the classification of the acute blood loss. Now the sign and symptoms of hypovolemic shock. They may cause anxiety, restlessness, alter mental state, anxiety, restlessness, alter mental state, hypotension may occur, a rapid, weak, thready pulse, cool, clammy skin, rapid and shallow respiration may occur, hypothermia, thirst and dry mouth, and distracted looks in the eyes. These are the sign and symptoms of hypovolemic shock. First one, anxiety, restlessness, alter mental state, hypotension, a rapid, weak, thready pulse, cold, clumpy skin may occur, rapid and shallow respiration, hypothermia, thirst and dry mouth, distracted look in the eyes. Now, compensatory mechanism. First one is the adrenergic discharge. Second one is the hyperventilation. Third one is the vasoactive hormones like angiotensin, vasopressin, or epinephrine. Collapse, reabsorption of fluid from the intestinal tissues. There is reabsorption of fluid from intestinal tissues. Reabsorption of fluid from intracellular to the extracellular space. There is reabsorption of fluid from intracellular to the extracellular space. Or renal conservation of body water and electrolytes. There is renal conservation of body water and the electrolytes. Now clinical monitoring. Clinical monitoring of the hypovolemic shock. We monitor blood pressure, respiration, urine output, central venous pressure, ECG, Swan gains, catheter. We use like for cardiac output, mixed venous oxygen level, vascular pressure, and pulmonary artery wedge pressure. Clinical monitoring of the hypovolemic shocks are we monitor blood pressure, respiration, urine output, central venous pressure, ECG, Swan gains catheter, cardiac output, mixed venous oxygen level, vascular pressure, and pulmonary artery wedge pressure. Now the diagnosis. In the management of trauma patient, in diagnosing in management of the trauma patient, understanding the pattern of injury of the patient. First, we understand the patterns of injury of the patient in shock will help direct the evaluation and management. It will help uh, in direct the evaluation and the management of the shock. Now, the blood loss sufficient to cause shock is generally of a large volume. Blood loss sufficient to cause shock is generally of large volume. Example: external, intrathoracic, intra-abdominal, retroperitoneal, and the long bone fractures. There is diagnostic and the therapeutic tube thoracotomy. There is diagnostic and therapeutic tube thoracotomy may be indicated in unstable patient based on clinical findings and the clinical suspicion. And chest radiography, pelvic radiography, diagnostic ultrasound, or the diagnostic peritoneal lavage. These are the diagnosis of the shock. Now the management of shock. First one is the objective. Objective management may increase cardiac output or increase tissue perfusion. The plan of action should be based on the plan of action of the management. It mainly based on first one was over the primary problem, second one in adequate fluid replacement, improving myocardial contractility, and correcting acid base disturbance. um, Objectives of the management of hypovolemic shock. First one, we increase the cardiac output and increase tissue perfusion. Or the plan and the plan of action should be based on the primary problem of the hypovolemic shocks: adequate fluid replacement, improving a myocardial contractility, and correcting acid base disturbance. Registrations, immediate control of bleeding, immediate control of bleeding, like rest, pressure packing, operative methods, extracellular fluid replacement, and there is infusion of fluid is the fundamental treatment. Crystalloids for initial registrations for most form of hypovolemic shock. After the initial registration, with up to the several liters of crystalloids fluid, use of colloids drugs mainly used in hypovolemic shock for the management of hypovolemic shock. These are the sedatives, chronotropic agents, and inotropic agents. Now the distributive shock. As in hypovolemic, there is an insufficient. As in hypovolemic, there is an insufficient intravascular volume of blood. There is insufficient intravascular volume of blood. This form of relative hypovolemia is the result of dilatation of blood vessels. This form of relative hypovolemia is the result of dilatation of blood vessels with diminished systemic vascular resistance. Example of this form of shock are septic shock, anaphylactic shock, and neurogenic shock. Now, traumatic shocks. Shock occurs due to any trauma, primarily due to hypovolemia. Primarily, they are due to the hypovolemia from bleeding externally, due to bleeding externally. Example: open wounds or any fractures. Bleeding internally due to rupture of liver or spleen. Clinical features of the traumatic shocks are presence of peripheral and pulmonary edema. There is a presence of peripheral and pulmonary edema. There is infusion of large amount of fluid. Infusion of large amount of fluid which is adequate in hypovolemic shock is inadequate here. Now, pathophysiology of traumatic uh, shock. Traumatic tissue activate the collagen system. Traumatic tissue, they may activate the collagen tissue, due to which there is a release of microthrombi into circulation. When microthrombi into circulation release, they may cause obstruction parts of pulmonary microvasculation, due to which increase pulmonary vascular resistance. Now the management of the traumatic shock. First one is registrations, local treatment of trauma and control of bleeding. Second one is there is a local treatment of the trauma and control of bleeding, surgical debridement of the ischemic and dead tissue. There is a surgical debridement of the ischemic and dead tissue and immobilization of the fractures. And immobilization of the fractures. Fluid replacement with Ringer's lactase. There is fluid replacement with Ringer's lactase, Ringer acetate, normal saline, and anticoagulation with one intravenous dose of 10,000 unit of heparin. This is the management of the traumatic shock. Now, second one is the cardiogenic shock. Cardiogenic shock, it occurs mainly due to the primary dysfunction of one ventricle or the other. Occurs mainly due to the primary dysfunction of one ventricle or the other. Dysfunction may be due to dysfunction in cardiogenic shock is mainly due to any myocardial infarction, chronic congestive heart failure, cardiac arrhythmias, pulmonary embolism, or systemic arterial hypotension. Dysfunction in the cardiogenic shock mainly due to the myocardial infarction, chronic congestive heart failure, cardiac arrhythmias, pulmonary embolism, and systemic arterial hypotension. Now, dysfunction of the right ventricles. Dysfunction of the right ventricle mainly due to the right heart unable to pump blood in adequate amount into the lungs. Dysfunction of right ventricle mainly due to the right heart unable to pump blood in adequate amount into lungs. Filling of the left heart decrease, so left ventricular output decrease. Filling of the left heart may decrease, due to which the left ventricular output may decrease. Second was the dysfunction of the left ventricle. Dysfunction of the left ventricle unable to maintain adequate stroke volume, left ventricular output, and systemic arterial blood pressure decrease. There is engorgement of the pulmonary vasculature due to normal right ventricular output, but failure of the left heart. Now, cardiogenic compressive shock. Cardiogenic compressive shock is arise when heart is compressed from outside to decrease cardiac output. Cardiogenic compressive shock arise when heart is compressed. Heart is compressed from outside to decrease cardiac output. The cause of cardiogenic compressive shocks are tension pneumothorax, pericardial tamponade, and diaphragmatic rupture with herniation of the bowel into the chest. Now, clinical features of cardiogenic compressive shock. Skin is pale and urine output is low. Skin becomes pale and urine output is low. Pulse become rapid and systemic blood pressure is low. Right ventricular dysfunction. Neck veins are distended and liver is enlarged. Left ventricular dysfunction. Over left ventricular dysfunction, there is bronchial rales and third heart sound heard third heart sound heard. Gradually, the heart also become enlarged. These are the clinical features of cardiogenic shock. Now, the management of cardiogenic airway must be cleaned. First, airway must be clean. Initial measures include supplementation oxygen, and when systolic blood pressure permits, administration of IV. When systolic blood pressure permits, administration of the IV nitroglycerin, insertion of an intra-aortic balloon pump, decrease ventricular afterload, improving myocardial performance. There is revascularization with either angioplasty. There is revascularization with either angioplasty or bypass surgery have suggested improved survival. Vasodilators like beta blockers may use in the management of the cardiogenic shock. Cardiogenic shock can also occur after prolonged cardiopulmonary bypass. They may also occur after prolonged cardiopulmonary bypass. The stunned myocardium may require hours or days to recover sufficiently to support circulation. Treatment consists of combination of inotropic agents. In case of pulmonary embolism, it should be treated with large doses of. In case of pulmonary embolism, it should be treated with large dose of heparin intravenously. Pain, if present, should be controlled with sedatives like morphine. If pain occurs, it should be controlled with sedatives like heparin, morphine. Fulminant pulmonary edema should be controlled with diuretics. Fulminant pulmonary edema, it should be controlled by diuretics, and drug mainly employed are inotropic agents. Now, extracardial obstructive shock. Flow of blood is obstructed in extracardial obstructive shock, which impairs circulation, can result in circulatory arrest, which impairs circulation and then results in the circulatory arrest. Several conditions occurs in the form of shock are cardiac tamponade, constructive pericarditis, tension pneumothorax, and massive pulmonary embolism. Now, treatment of choice is pericardial drainage via surgery. Treatment of choice, first one is pericardial drainage via surgery. Pulmonary embolism is usually treated with systemic anticoagulation, but when massive pulmonary embolism causes right ventricular failure and shock, thrombolytic therapy should be strongly considered. Now, third one is the neurogenic shock. Neurogenic shock occurs mainly due to primarily due to blockage of sympathetic nervous system. When blockage of systematic nervous system, they cause loss of arterial and venous tone, There is a loss of arterial and venous tone with pooling of blood in the dilated peripheral veins. The heart does not fills. They may cause decrease in cardiac output. False. Neurogenic cause mainly caused by the paraplegia, quadriplegia, trauma to the spine or the spinal anesthesia. Clinical features of the neurogenic shocks are the warm skin, pink and well perforated, heart rate is rapid, blood pressure is low, urine output may be normal. Pathophysiology of the neurogenic shock. There is if there is dilatation of systemic vasculatus, they may cause decreased systemic arterial pressure. When systemic arterial pressure may decrease, it may cause pooling of blood in systemic venules and small veins, pooling of small volume and small veins, due to which the right heart filling and stroke volume decrease. When right heart filling and stroke volume decrease, it may cause decrease pulmonary blood volume and left heart filling, due to which discharge of angiotensin and vasopressin, though they fail to restore the cardiac output to normal. This is the pathophysiology of the neurogenic shock. Management of the neurogenic shock is assuming Trendelenburg position, displace blood from systemic venules into right heart and increase cardiac output. Administration of fluids, there is administration of fluid, vasoconstriction drugs like phenylephrine and the metaminolone. Only type of shock safely treated with vasoconstrictor. It promotes action safe patient from immediate damage to the important organs like brain, heart, and kidney. Now, next is the septic shock, most often due to the gram-negative and gram-positive septicemia. It occurs in cases of febrile septicemia, cholangitis, peritonitis, and meningitis, etc. The common organisms that are concerned with septic shock are E. coli, Klebsiella, Aerobacter, Proteus, Pseudomonas, bacteroids. These septic shock mainly often due to the gram-negative and the gram-positive septicemia. Gram-positive septicemia shock. It is usually caused by the dissemination of potent exotoxin liberated from gram-positive bacteria without evidence of bacterium. It is seen in Clostridium tetani or Clostridium perfringens infection. It is basically caused due to massive fluid loss, arterial resistance falls, but there is no fall in cardiac output. Urine output usually remains normal. Now the next is anaphylactic shock. Anaphylaxis or etiology of the anaphylactic shock is the most common cause of anaphylaxis is the administration of the penicillin. Most common cause of anaphylaxis is the administration of penicillin. The other causes include anesthesia, dextrins, serum injections, stings, consumption of shellfish. Pathophysiology of the anaphylactic shocks is the antigen combined with the IgE on the mast cell and basophils, releasing large amount of histamine and slow release substance of the anaphylaxis. Now, the clinical features of the anaphylactic shock is it manifests as bronchospasm, a laryngeal edema, respiratory distress, hypoxia, massive vasodilatation, hypotension, and shock. The mortality rate is 10%. Now, the prognosis of the shock. The prognosis varies with the origin of shock and its duration. 80 to 90% of young patients survive hypovolemic shock with appropriate management. Cardiogenic shock associated with extensive myocardial infarction mortality up to 75%, and septic shock mortality rate up to 75%. This is all about the shock, the types of shock, definition of shock, the causes of the etiology of the shock, pathophysiology of the shock, and the types of the shock. Now, the quiz related to the shock. First one is the mortality rate in shock. There is options are 25%, 30%, 20%, and 40%. There is a mortality rate in the shock is 20% mortality rate in the shock. Now the next question is that which type of shock is called as true shock? Options are the secondary shock, initial shock, partial shock, and tertiary shock. Which type of shock is called as true shock? And the answer is the secondary shock. Secondary shock is called as the true shock. Now the next question is that according to etiology, types of shocks are According to etiology, the shock types of shocks are options are hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic shock, septic shock, and uh, um, all of the above. Now, the answer of the according to etiology, types of shock are they are all of the above. Hypovolemic shock is according to etiology, the shock may be hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic shock, and septic shock. Now, clinical features of the shocks are hypotension, tachycardia, cold and confusion, and all of the above is the answer of the clinical features, because in shock they may hypotension, tachycardia, cold, confusion may come. Now, general principles in the management shocks are: patients should be treated in ICU, preferably continuous electrocardiographic monitoring, pulse oximeter, all of the answer is the all of the general these are the general principles of the management of shock. Hypovolemic shock occurs due to the inadequate circulatory blood volume, inadequate circulatory blood output, inadequate circulatory cardiac volume, none of this. Now, the hypovolemic shock mainly occurs due to the inadequate circulatory blood volume. Hypovolemic shock classified into two types, three types, four types, or none. Hypovolemic shock may be classified into two types. Now, cardiogenic shock occurs due to dysfunction of one ventricle or other, dysfunction of one atrium or other, dysfunction of both ventricles, and all of this. Now, the cardiogenic shock occurs due to dysfunction of one ventricle or the other. Now, the clinical features of cardiogenic shocks are skin pale color, heart enlargement, rapid heart rate, and all of the. In cardiogenic shock, there is a skin pale color, heart enlargement, rapid, all may come. Now, neurogenic shock occurs due to blockage of systemic nervous system, blockage of central nervous system, blockage of artery, and all of the above. Neurogenic shock mainly occurs to the blockage of the systemic nervous system. So, this is all about the shock. Thank you.